Good evening, Australia. A lot to talk about tonight. The bushfires still burning around the country, Hong Kong burning ominously, and the federal government's new infrastructure package for the economy. I must say I hate that word, infrastructure, but we will get to those issues later in the program. But first I want to talk about something, an issue I was most proud of raising in my short term in the Senate. 3 years ago tomorrow, I made a speech in the Senate, which I hope helped improve the lives of thousands of Australian women. And since then, it has garnered attention around the world. The issue has, in the US, in Scotland, in Sweden, in New Zealand. And I started that Senate speech by saying that back in the 1950s and 1960s, there was a morning sickness pill that women around the world were innocently taking. And they started giving birth to babies with no arms or legs. After Australian doctor William McBride started making the connection between thalidomide and deformed babies, drugs like Distal were taken off the market, and a shocked world asked, how could it have gone on for so long? How could the drug companies, overseas and in Australia, have known for so long, for so many months, and put so many pregnancies at risk? How could they put money before morality, profit before pain? How could our medical authorities and our health protection agencies have been so ignorant or complacent? And that's why thalidomide became a dirty word. And I said it in the Senate, and then I put a four-letter word in the same category as thalidomide, a word that is not crippling babies, but has crippled thousands of mothers, both here and overseas. And once again, the drug companies, the so-called watchdogs, like the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, let victims down. And that four-letter word was mesh, transvaginal mesh. For more than 20 years, this plastic or polypropylene mesh had been permanently embedded as postnatal hammocks, slings, netting for prolapsed organs and incontinence, and also a miracle treatment, they say, for male incontinence. The mesh is meant to be chemically inert, and before any implanted device gets clearance from the FDA in the United States, there must be guarantees that it is inert, that it's safe, that it won't change after contact with tissue fluids or in the body, and won't produce allergic reactions, won't incite inflammation, won't trigger your immune system, won't harbour and breed bacteria, and crucially, will stay anchored wherever in the body it is installed. Well, tragically, painfully, dangerously, transvaginal mesh did not and still does not pass those tests, has never passed those tests. And to make the nightmare worse, the mesh hammocks are anchored deep into thighs and buttocks and the pelvic region, into muscles where nerves grow through the mesh, make it almost impossible to remove when things go wrong. I think I said back then it was like a wire netting fence getting overgrown with creeper in the backyard. But it gets worse. Over time, this harmless plastic netting can become brittle and start to break away in shards and splinters. And those bits start to float around the body, causing inflammation and excruciating pain. So no wonder those slings have been called a torture device. There have been cases, that can't be delicate here, where a splinter has pierced a woman's vaginal wall and injured her partner during intercourse, cutting his penis. No wonder some of these mesh products have been banned in Scotland. No wonder there are lawsuits pending all around the world. And because no Australian surgeons are really qualified to attempt total removals, some Australian women have taken out loans or increased their mortgage to cover the $35,000 to $50,000 costs of an operation overseas. Now, I've met and talked to a lot of these women from all over Australia. Women have suffered interminable pain and physical and mental breakdowns because of these mesh implants. And some, sadly, have thought suicide the only solution. And overseas, that has been the solution that some women have sought. Having first been told there's only a 1% chance of an adverse reaction, those women have been treated like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed bull bleat by doctors, hospital administrators, the drug companies, even the TGA. And at times those women have always believed their pain and debilitating conditions were psychosomatic, or just a way to get more painkillers, because that's what some doctors suggested. Let me pass on some of the stories. Cass Chisholm, she flew from Perth to Melbourne to see me and hoped that somebody would finally listen. She was involved in an online support group for transvaginal mesh injured women. And she said the devices in the woman's pelvis are there until she dies. She would have been fighting tooth and nail for a suspension on mesh until an investigation is carried out. The damage is a worldwide problem. She said Australia is lagging in providing the help we need to get these devices out. As I mentioned, there are only a few surgeons in the world who can fully remove them. And we do need one of these surgeons to come to Australia to remove these devices. Now, I'm told the pain is so excruciating for some that suicide, as I said, has become a normal thought to ease the burden of living with such suffering. It is that bad. Another victim, Tony Shannon, she said, I seriously cannot believe that from one innocent, minor-day surgery, and under the trust of my surgeon and the experts of the Australian medical system, I am now left with a permanent disability. I'm unable to return to work. I cannot sit, stand, walk, or drive for more than 5 minutes without excruciating pain. And she said, from the prime of my life, I became crippled in less than 3 months. Now, I read these case histories and some of the other side effects, and these are some of them. Infection, bleeding, painful sexual intercourse, vaginal scarring, prolapse coming back, sepsis, immune system rejection, urinary problems, chronic pain, and the pain of daily living. Just imagine stabbing pain when you're sitting on the toilet, when you're crawling into bed, when you're walking, when you're sitting at a desk. It goes on and on. And that's why I called it a national disgrace. And I wasn't exaggerating. When in the Senate, I linked transvaginal mesh to thalidomide and said it was one of the greatest medical scandals and abuse of mothers in Australian history. And it still is. There have been developments today. I'll have more on that later. I'm Darren Hinch.